Some Nas fans are interesting, and their reactions to new Nas albums are so predictable. So we know that Nas and Hit Boy gave us 6 strong albums in a matter of 3 years. And in that time span, I think we could safely agree that Magic 1 and King's Disease 3 were amazing projects, even if you didn't like Hit Boy like that. Now, I personally thought Hit Boy delivered during the whole series, by the way. However, at the time, some fans were calling for a DJ Premier produced project, and now that it has finally arrived, many of these same individuals don't like it. I've even seen some posts on Twitter or X saying, bring back Hit Boy. You can't make this stuff up. Then there are other individuals who are of the mindset that Nas just needs to lock in with Pete Rock and that will solve all the problems. And I'm thinking respectfully, Pete Rock is a legend, of course, but what about the current Pete Rock production would make you feel any more confident that he could deliver a project for Nas that would be significantly better than what Preemo did here? So you want to bring up the Common album. Okay, that's fair. That was a good project. But the thing is, and I even said this in the review at the time, as much as I liked that project, there were some low energy beats there. And I can only imagine what the narrative would be if Nas were to rap on some of that slower production. So yeah, the point is some Nas fans will just never be happy with the product that comes out. What is good, y'all? It's your boy Mixtape Muff. If you are rocking with this content, go ahead and smash that like button. Also subscribe if you haven't. But today I'm going to be hitting out with my thoughts on this new one from Nas and DJ Premier entitled Light-Years. All right, Nas and Preemo. It took 20 years for this historic collab to release. 30 years for some, but now we finally got a project that was easily the most anticipated album since Snoop and Dre's Missionary. Now, the dialogue, discourse on social media has been rather polarizing for this drop. Many are trashing and flaming DJ Premier for dropping the ball. And look, I've said this before with other highly anticipated albums. It's very important to have high expectations for artists. You never want to accept trash. I mean, the bar should always be high. I'm not about giving passes to an artist just because they're a legend. However, at the same time, you have to be realistic with those expectations. I think if you want to be fair when critiquing music, like if you really want to do the knowledge and do justice to an artist's album, that's what you should do. I mean, that's just my opinion. And you have to be willing to listen to something more than once. I miss so much if I don't listen to an album like 3 times because I'm listening for all different things. But I can tell from a lot of hot takes on X that some people probably didn't even give it one full listen. And this is a Nas project we're talking about, an artist who is known for layers to his music, so that's kind of crazy for me. Now, on the same token, before I jump into this review, I'm not going to say that DJ Premier is currently operating on a level as high as Nas is at the moment. However, it is clear that some people just didn't want to give this album a chance, either because they already had made up their minds that Preemo was going to be the weak link going into this, or that their expectations were just a little unrealistic, and that's okay. Okay, so I'm just going to jump right into the review. I'm not going to do a lyrical breakdown or dissect bars like I normally would because this thing just came out. More so today, I want to talk overall about how I felt about the album, the production, the themes, etc. This contained 15 songs lasting approximately 48 minutes. But with that being said, let me go ahead and just hit y'all with that track-by-track breakdown. The opener, My Life Is Real, has a playful piano backdrop. It's a little bouncy. The drums are semi hard-hitting, and you have some Benny the Butcher scratches. It's a colorful, flavorful beat. That's a solid tone setter, and I honestly don't have any complaints with this. Yeah, I dug the flavor on this one. Now, the following Get Ready has a funky stripped back beat that is, I'd say, gearing us up for an 80s theme on this album. Now, recall Ghostface's Supreme Clientele 2 and how there was a strong 80s component to it. And it's pretty evident here that Nas and Preemo intentionally tried to channel some of that late 80s, early 90s energy throughout. Get Ready, I think it embodies those sonics. Now, Nas is doing his cryptocurrency Scarface talk, which rubs some people the wrong way. I don't particularly care either way when he does that. I think it's a decent track with a funky stripped back sound, almost like Primo gave his version of Get Down from God's Son. Then we have New York State of Mind Part 3, which has had a very divisive reception. Of course, the original is a landmark classic, and Part 2 is almost as good. Some would even prefer that to Part 1 in 2025. So I'd say for now, I'm still on the fence about this one. I don't honestly think I'm done processing it. Now, on one hand, you do have the signature dark strings that feels very Primo, and it is contrasted with the Billy Joel's New York State of Mind hook. And initially I thought to myself, wow, the Billy Joel hook seems a little too pretty for the darker, drearier aesthetics of what that New York State of Mind series has always been. So I may need to give this one some more time, but it's not fully clicking for me. And I also didn't love kind of the celebratory Knicks, Yankees, Mets game ad libs. It just didn't seem to match the dark aura of the track. Now, I'm also mindful that they're in their 50s and this is a trilogy, so maybe Nas and Primo wanted more of a celebratory tone here. But it did kind of give that, hey, I'm chilling with Fat Joe, Spike Lee courtside, more of that friendly energy that I just didn't love. Immediately after is Welcome to the Underground, so I'll be honest, I feel the guitar instrumental is missing something. Now, perhaps Primo was intentionally stepping outside the box to give us more of that left field, abstract, underground sound. However, if that was the case, I do almost wish that he would have featured Rome Streets on here just to give the track something else, just a bit more pop. It's currently my least like, but I'll see if it grows on me. Now, things though, they pick up instantly with Madman. This has a murderous instant screw face giving instrumental, this signature Primo. It's gutter, it's nightmarish. I love the punchy vocal samples of Jizza and Inspector Deck. I mean, this is nasty Nas rapping here. So I can't honestly say enough good things about Madman. Immediately after is Pause Tape. So this one is conceptually interesting. It features an intro from Have reflecting on how he first made beats in a more primitive fashion. And this is really a back to the basics, hip hop origins concept here. And it has the most stripped back minimalist production on the whole project, but still to me it still gives off like a 92 to 94 Primo sound. I've seen a lot of criticism for this song, but I actually love it. I feel it really transports you as a listener back to Nas in his younger years in Queensbridge, adjusting the tape deck, ready to hit pause and to record something ill. To be fair, I think what some people, maybe the younger audience, might be missing is that it was intentionally minimalist as a beat to just create a mood and a vibe and a tone, and one that channels 80s nostalgia. And the following song, Writers, continues with this throwback old New York energy. This is another highlight. I love the rugged bass line, the nocturnal Twilight synths, and you know, the signature scratches from Primo, the Rakim and Farside samples hit hard. Together, this song is an homage to graffiti, one of the four elements, and on here Nas mentions movies like Wild Style, Style Wars. He was shouting out Henry Chalfant, who made the movie, and that's, you know, one of the best archival documentaries about graffiti and early hip hop that we have. Now, to know this, does that mean you're more hip hop? No, but it's not, I don't think, great to shoot off your mouth if you don't know about these things either. Things do mellow out with Sons, Young Kings, and this is a thoughtful, uplifting track over a silky smooth minimalist instrumental, and this is of course the sequel to Daughters, and the beat does almost remind me a bit of Nas's One-on-One from what was that, the Street Fighter soundtrack, and I'm glad that he did include a song like this on the album. Immediately after is It's Time, which of course not only samples the It's Time from Illmatic, but also the Steve Miller Band sample, which we know was used for 80s classics from Biz Markie as well as EPMD. And Nas also freestyled to this for one of his Foulness freestyles. Throughout this track, Nas was in a great pocket. I don't have a problem with this one whatsoever. I'm sure some people disliked it, but I think it makes perfect sense as to why Nas and Preemo chose this, given their history and given both their affinity for 80s hip hop. It's a no-brainer. After is another banger. Now, conceptually, this one to me was crazy. Nasty, Esco, Nasir, the three phases in Nas's life as an MC, from the earliest days of Nasty Nas to the Nas Escobar phase in the mid to late 90s, and transitioning into the more mature Nasir phase. So he's arguing with himself, being playful in the process, responding to the criticism from fans, who didn't like the materialistic mafioso era. He's also honoring that mafioso side too, and saying, hey, to the boom bap heads, like, lighten up a bit, guys. This shows Nas being aware of his audience, any of his own criticisms, and I love the mafioso strings. I really can't imagine anyone hating on this track. Okay, the next one, My Story, Your Story, featuring AZ. So anytime Nas and AZ link, it's major. Now, lyrically, this one is fire. I love the back and forth. I will say another minimalist beat with like a golden sheen to it. It's wavy. Is it the greatest beat here? No. Is it the best beat Preemo could have crafted for the two? Probably not. I'm just being real. I'm not saying I don't like the song. I actually do, but I'd say instrumentally it's probably on par with the Flyest. Now, personally for me, as much as I like the Flyest from Stillmatic, it wasn't that great of a beat on its own. It really wasn't. It wasn't on the level of Mo Money, Mo Murder, Mo Homicide, or even The Essence. It was a so-so beat, but Nas and AZ made it work, and I think they do the same here, because their chemistry is still immaculate. After this is Bouquet to the Ladies. So this is a topical song where Nas is shouting out all the women from all of the eras in hip hop. So yes, he throws in everyone, like literally everyone, from the era of Roxanne Shante, Nikki D, and MC Lyte, all the way to contemporary artists like Lotto, Meg Thee Stallion, Ice Spice, and Glorilla. Now, did Nas need to mention every female MC? Probably not. I don't know deep down if he views all of these women equally in their rapping ability, but I think for him this one was more about unity and just to highlight the achievements of women in hip hop, which was important. The production did grow on me. I like the lush horn section, the strings, and of course the PMD LL Cool J scratches really enhanced the flavor. Immediately after is another standout, a junkie, where Nas comes clean to being a junkie for hip hop and a junkie for the culture. And let's just be real with ourselves. We are all rap fanatics, rap addicts. If you really love hip hop like Nas and a lot of us do, then you'll identify with this personification. This was set to some grimy strings, Ab-Soul scratches. I thought the drums were solid. This did give me almost like a Preemo meets Dre feel. But yeah, Junkie, it was one of those ones. Then there's Shine Together. So this has a sample that I believe Buck Wild used for Big Pun, but it is slowed down a bit here. Initially, it was one that didn't grab me, but it has grown on me with some listens. Then there's Third Childhood. So lyrically, this was heat. Nas was putting an end to the ageist argument. He's talking about his accomplishments, donating to the Hip Hop Museum, but he's also boasting on being in his third childhood to an extent, and that he's still going to keep it fly and keep it hood at the age of 80. And this is something that I think is probably going to be relatable for a lot of fans. I mean, there's certain fashion things that I would never give up, like polo, Jordans, things like that. So production wise, this was very low key. There was no fireworks with this instrumental. The beat itself is not mind blowing, but it gets the job done. It's an okay sequel. I'd say the production was just fine. So overall, I'm going to give this project a rating of a strong 4 mics. As a huge Nas fan, I like this album. I really do. Nas is still in tip-top lyrical shape, still rapping at a high level. All of this should be no surprise since his run with Hit Boy to his most recent crazy feature run, all of 2025. Now to the production. Look, it was crystal clear they were going for a more stripped back, late 80s, early 90s sound with this. That, of course, isn't going to resonate with everyone. It's not going to be for everyone, especially some younger listeners. However, that also doesn't mean that an album is trash just because you personally had another idea of what you felt it should have sounded like going into it. Maybe you were thinking of some Hit Boy albums, which I loved, but it's not a Hit Boy album. But despite some issues with the production, namely the drums lacking at certain times, I still feel there were standout beats here. And this is not me being generous to Preemo or accepting lower quality because I'm an older head and I love DJ Premier. That's not the case. There were other beats, though, that I'll be honest, were just serviceable for DJ Premier standards. But thanks to Nas and his lyrical exuberance, they managed to work. That being said, Nas was the MVP for this project. But that doesn't mean that some of these Preemo songs didn't give me that feeling or that they didn't give me that screw face. I also think it's perfectly okay for someone to think that the production was a little underwhelming from what they may have expected. But there are people who are overreacting. I mean, there's some people that they're bugging out. And are we also going to act like Nas's lyrics, delivery, and concepts like don't matter whatsoever with this project? Because if you're gonna call this trash, then what you are saying is not only did DJ Premier do a bad job, but Nas did also, and that you really don't care to hear about graffiti history or other elements of hip hop that are being shouted out. I mean, that's basically what you're saying, right? Or, do you want to admit that you can give it another listen or two and just try to approach it with more of an open mind? I firmly believe that this album will be more well received later on, and there will eventually be some people that will request that these two link up again for a Light-Years 2. That's just my prediction. Favorite tracks include My Life Is Real, Madman, Pause Tapes, Writers, Sons, Nasty, Esco, Nasir, My Story, Your Story, Bouquet to the Ladies, and Junkie. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section. It's your boy Mixtape Mob. I'm signing out. As always, it's peace and blessings. Nas, DJ Premier, Light-Years 1.